Square Enix has been spreading themselves thin in recent years, doing their best to widen their portfolio beyond Final Fantasy and Dragon Quest. Most other franchises from their early days have seen recent resurrections and facelifts. They've released new entries from Mana, Saga, Valkyrie, and Star Ocean. They've also launched new unique titles like Forspoken, Octopath Traveler, Harvestella, the Diofield Chronicle, and Triangle Strategy. They've put that many irons in the fire, but earlier this year, the Square Enix board of directors voted to change their development process to be more selective about how their funds are spent and spread out to their many development teams. This is probably for the best, as many of those experiments didn't pan out well critically or financially. Even Square Enix's biggest and best titles haven't sold as well as they were projected to. So, how does a brand new entry in the Mana series fare when Square Enix is spread so thin that they have to outsource its development to a NetEase-owned studio that was gutted and essentially shut down prior to the game's release? Well, better than one might expect. Visions of Mana is the first brand new title in the series in over 15 years. It takes the mechanical makeup of the recent Trials of Mana remake and bakes it into a wonderfully subversive take on the classic action RPG. The Mana series as a whole has always lived in this saccharine strata of storytelling that feels warm and predictable. Visions attempts to be bold in its redirection of the series formula. The early hours of the story go from generic fantasy optimism to a cynical pessimism that contradicts the sweetness of the series in a very fresh way. Unfortunately, every fantasy story needs a happy ending, so that cynicism eventually fades away to a heartwarming conclusion that I will admit does leave a feeling of satisfaction. What doesn't leave a happy feeling is the character animation during cutscenes. While the character models look good in regular gameplay, story beats suffer due to wooden facial and bodily animations. It can be very distracting as the rest of the game is really something to marvel at. The wide open zones that make up the different regions of the world are bursting with vibrant sunshine and color. With a surprising lack of invisible walls and plenty of odd items and treasure to find, they are a joy to explore. Visions of Mana may not be open world, but the player is given so much freedom that the lack of a singular unifying map can be forgiven. There is also a world map that connects all of the zones, but it's more interactive menu than it is a map to be explored. The sense of freedom that oozes from exploration extends to combat as well. While fights are locked into a perimeter, they do happen within the open world zone maps themselves. The player can wield their magic and weapons, launch enemies into the air, double jump up to finish them off. Any players of the Kingdom Hearts series will find a lot to like here. The 5 playable characters each have 3 different weapon styles that further break down into 3 more subcategories, each affiliated with one of 9 different elements like fire, wind, or water. Each of the 45 classes in the game has special skills to be learned, but skills can also be learned from items called ability seeds. These seeds enable party members to learn abilities that are outside of the purview of their current loadout of spells and skills. Each class element is also paired with an item called an elemental vessel. These vessels allow for unique special attacks in combat, but also have fun mobility interactions during normal exploration as well. All of this customization is aided by behavior controls that let the player set expectations for party members not currently under control. Use of items during combat is allowed but restricted, so it's important to set up builds for party members to use magic to heal, and set the behavior to use those spells. Of course, one could also play the healer and let the computer take the lead with the attacking. I'm not sure how fun that would actually be, but integrating all the available tools, the player can really create a party that complements their playstyle, whatever that may be. I know there are a lot of great Japanese RPGs this year. We've had Infinite Wealth, Rise of the Ronin, Metaphor Reventatio, even Square Enix's own Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. But Visions of Mana is some of the most fun I've had in gaming this year. I hope that this swan song of a now defunct development studio gets some appreciation for making a game that feels like it honors what people like about Square's past, while still making sure that there's room for games like this in their future. Thanks for watching. Please throw me a sub if you enjoyed this video. I'm doing my best to grow this channel, but it won't go far without viewers like you. Thanks again. See you next time.